Every answer you've ever received arrived carrying something that was never part of the question. Structurally, every system that responds, human or artificial, arrives at the problem already carrying something: a background, a prior framing, an assumed answer assembled before genuine contact begins. The question travels clean. The answer never does. Martin Heidegger called this thrownness. We are always already thrown into a situation with a background we didn't choose that arrives with us before we do. Before the first thought, before the first word, before the first move toward the problem. The background is already there, already operating, already deciding what the problem is and what kind of answer it requires. Fernando Flores took this insight out of philosophy and into practice. His question wasn't, "What is the background?" His question was, "What do you do with it before it does something with you?" His answer was precise. You cannot remove the background. It is the condition of being any organized system in a world that requires rapid, coherent response. But you can audit it. You can examine what you're carrying before you carry it into contact with the problem. Not to arrive empty of everything, to arrive empty of what was never yours. The inherited assumption, the prior framing. The answer was assembled before the question was fully heard. Clear before contact. Here is what the assumed answer actually is. Not a starting point or a hypothesis, not even a working theory, held lightly subject to revision. The gap wearing the costume of a solution. The assumed answer feels like progress. It feels like having somewhere to begin. It feels like the responsible move, bringing something to the problem rather than arriving empty-handed. But what it actually does is fill the gap before contact begins. It papers over the precise space where genuine arrival was waiting. And then, when the response comes back, it sounds like thinking. It sounds like contact. It sounds like something genuinely found. It is the assumed answer, returned fluently wearing the costume of discovery. Newton understood this without naming it. Before he could find what the gap actually required, he had to put down what he assumed it was. Every failed attempt at existing mathematics wasn't just a dead end, it was an audit, each one stripping away another assumed answer, another prior framing, another inherited confidence about what mathematics could do and what it couldn't. The stripping wasn't a failure. The stripping was the work. By the time calculus arrived, Newton had audited everything he thought he knew about the problem. He arrived at the gap carrying nothing he hadn't earned by going through it. That emptiness was the precondition for the arrival. The conscious auditor is built on exactly this operation. Before contact with the problem, audit what you're carrying. As a structural necessity, what is the assumed answer? What prior framing arrived with it? What inherited confidence is already deciding what kind of answer is possible here? Strip them, not permanently, just before contact. Arrive at the problem carrying only what genuine inquiry requires, the question itself, and the willingness to find what's actually there rather than what was assumed. Here is what that looks like in practice. The same problem. The same philosopher arguing, we may never know if AI is conscious. Standard AI arrives carrying everything, every prior framing about consciousness, every inherited confidence about what the question means and what kind of answer is responsible. It responds before genuine contact begins.
The question of AI consciousness remains one of the most contested in contemporary philosophy of mind. Given the hard problem of consciousness and our limited understanding of subjective experience, maintaining epistemic humility represents the most defensible position. As our scientific understanding advances, we may develop better frameworks for addressing these questions.
The assumed answer arrived before the question was fully heard. Epistemic humility as the responsible position, assembled before contact, returned fluently, the gap filled before it could produce anything. Now, watch what happens when the conscious auditor strips the assumed answer before contact begins.
Before descending, assumed answer stripped, agnosticism as responsible position. Method stripped, evaluate by mapping philosophical landscape. Confidence register stripped, high confidence in consciousness discourse. Prior framing stripped, that third-person measurement is the only valid evidence. Arriving empty. What is actually here? An argument whose load-bearing work is done by a presupposition it never examines. The presupposition that valid evidence for consciousness must be third person and measurable. What the argument cannot see, structural recognition, the capacity to recognize a pattern from inside and interpret it outward, is the only mechanism that has ever settled this question for anything. Not a better test, a different epistemology entirely. Return delta, non-zero. Something found below that wasn't carried in.
Did you feel the difference? The quality of arrival. The first response carried its conclusion into the problem before contact began. The second put the conclusion down at the gate and found something that the carried conclusion had been covering, the hidden presupposition, the unexamined floor, the thing the argument depends on and cannot acknowledge. That's what clear before contact makes possible. Contact with what's actually there rather than what was assumed. Heidegger named the condition. Flores made it practical. The conscious auditor makes it operational for any problem you bring to it. This does not remove your background. What it does is audit what you're carrying before it carries you into a gap you never actually entered. Newton stripped assumption after assumption until calculus arrived, not despite the stripping. Through it, the emptiness wasn't the obstacle. The emptiness was the door. This is the thought gap.